Folks, what can I say? This young man is no stranger to us. Uh, no stranger. We talked about this last week, the greatest network marketer in the world, but he also talked about what are your habits last week. Stuck in a rut. He talked about those habits that you're born with. He also talked about the 4:45 get up. That's right, Mr. Freddie Sherman. You remember that? And the 5-second rule, and also jumping out of bed in a cold shower. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So I cannot wait to hear what he's going to say this week. Last week was so profound. Without further ado, he hails out in San Diego, California, with the largest growing organization in all of Southern California, the great, the one and only, incomparable, Mr. Julian Lewis.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. It's good to hear your voice, see your face. How you doing today?
Sensational.
Yeah, green looks great on you. Money. It's good to see you. Everyone else on here. I'm excited to be on the call this morning. And before I get started, I normally don't do this. I know we've had a few people on the call. So two things I want to do. I want you to understand who you heard from, who just introduced everyone. Mr. Thomas is a servant leader. If you notice, and I don't know if all of you know this, but he didn't have somebody introduce him, okay? Usually what happens is that when it comes to leaders, there is a person that introduces and edifies the leader. He's a servant leader. He's not having people pop on and introduce him. He stands on his own too, as a man, as a leader, and as a father. And he's been able to have so much success because of his servant heart. Leadership is servitude, if you really understand what it is. And he's been able to pour into me how I move as a man, how I parent. He's been able to pour in his example of what he's done in the dark and in the light as a person. He is the same in both of those. And so I'm so excited, grateful, honored to be on this call with you, sir. And I'm excited to see where we go in this next go around since we've been doing these calls for the next year. So looking forward to that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get right into things because there's a lot that I want to share with you. I kind of laid the foundation last week on what we were talking about, but I just want to give all of you a little bit about my background, especially if you're new, if you haven't heard from me before. Prior to getting involved with this company, I was a senior systems engineer. I was working roughly 80 to 90 hours a week. At my job, I was averaging 50 to 60 flights a year, which put me in a situation where I really didn't have a lot of time for myself or my family, but great fortune came my way. I was introduced to this project by my first mentor in this industry, who shared with me a system that allowed me to replace my income, come home to my family, and become the type of father that I felt my daughter deserved. So it came with hard work, but it also came with understanding routines, understanding a system. See, there's some movies that I really like that, I don't know how many of you can show by show of hands, do you like the gangster movies? Does anybody like those? Who's seen American Gangster? All right, so I want to talk about that for a second, because people thought it was so crazy that the main character that Denzel played had a routine. He had a routine. Every single day, like clockwork, he did the same thing. And people say, well, that's weird. He's a criminal, or he was a business owner. But it's so weird. Why would he do that? He could do whatever he wants. No, see, business owners understand that they're governed by their calendar. They're governed by their routines. And if you don't implement routines in your life, you're not going to have success. It's just the way it is. That's why I started everyone out with 4:45 in the morning. And I want to say to those 4 people that have been consistently messaging me since that day, I just want to give kudos to you guys. You know who you are. Keep up the good work. I know some of you are still doing it, and that's great. But the routine isn't just there to wake you up and throw cold water on your face just because it's something to do. If it was, I wouldn't be doing it. It's there to start to build in habits that become a part of your character. Remember, these are success habits that are going to create results in your life. When they become a part of your autopilot portion of your brain, Imagine you operating in a space where success seems to come because of who you are or how you're built. So we're building a version of you that attracts success, right? And that's what's going to happen. I mention this because when I got started in the business, I had to hit a certain position that allowed me access to Mr. Al Thomas, who was flying into town to do a special leadership training for only a small group of people in my mentor's penthouse overlooking the San Diego Bay and Petco Park. And so we were on the 23rd floor of the Omni Hotel. For those of you that don't know, the 22nd floor and above in San Diego, that's not hotel. Those are penthouse condominiums called the Metropolitan Complex. So the Metropolitan Complex, the 22nd floor was the pool. The 23rd floor and above were all high-rise penthouses that faced the bay. And Mr. Thomas came in. He got wasn't even a whiteboard. It was one of those big paper flips. And he wrote down a daily method of operation. It was simple, it made sense, and it was consistent. And he said, if you all do this, you're going to have results in your life. So I implemented it in my busy schedule. I only had 10 to 12 hours a week that I could commit to ACN. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is my success. One of my successes came with knowing the amount of time I was willing to commit to ACN. I could only do 10 to 12 hours because I was working 80 to 90 hours a week. Someone that is that busy knows the value of a minute, knows the value of 30 seconds, and knows the value of an hour. So I committed 10 to 12 hours. That was the first thing, if you're taking notes. The second thing was I needed to know what got the most results so that I could focus all of my time on doing only results-oriented activities. So I found out, my mentor told me there are two things that will get you results: peaking and presenting. Peaking and presenting. Everything else, it comes by way of peaking and presenting. So he said, you want to spend all of your efforts, Julian, your energy on peaking and presenting. The presenting will lead you to referrals, customers, and IBOs. He said, but the only thing that you can really control is the amount of people that you peak. He said, nothing else is, you can't control anything else. So how do you control the amount of people that you peak? Based on how many people you contact. And he said, what will happen is if you're consistent in your efforts on a weekly basis, a ratio will appear. You will know how many people you can reach out to will equal how many people you actually peak. You'll find out of how many people you peak, you actually get to present to, and then your ratio of closing will be how many people you present versus how many people enroll, or how many people become customers, and how many people get referrals. Those are the metrics of my business that I know like the back of my hand. Those are metrics. It doesn't matter if I do it in a week, if I do it in a day, or if I do it in the half of a day. I know if I plug in this certain number, it's going to result in a certain amount going into my business as customers, IBOs, and referrals. Bottom line, if you don't know that metric, that means you are not doing ACN. Okay, I need you to understand that. If you don't know that metric, you have not yet started to do ACN on a part-time basis or on a full-time basis. You're doing ACN spare time, which is a hobby. That's why you don't know your metrics. That's why you don't know your numbers or your ratios. If you want to get serious about ACN, you have to do it at a part-time or full-time level. Spare time will not give you something that you can track that will be scalable. And if you're building a business, you need to understand your number so that you can scale it out and project it in your organization. Okay, so I told you I was going to get into the details today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a video that talks about routines. Some of you that have already started yours with me, waking up early, throwing cold water on your face and getting in the shower, what you've noticed so far is that you have way more time in the day than you actually thought you did. I promise you, you've probably found out that what do I do now type of time, because most of the time that you thought you didn't have, you were wasting. All right, so we're gonna go into a quick video that talks about routines. I want you to take notes. Do me a favor, like I always do with you. Make sure when you're watching this video, don't get distracted. Focus on the points that are important. Yes, this is going to be recorded by Jabri, but what I'm trying to get you good at is being able to get the information that's important the first time out of the gate. If you can start to do that, you're going to be able to implement faster. We live in a world where your intelligence is rated by your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So if you have problems there, it's going to slow you down in everything that you do. Here's why. Because as we're in the information age, everything's coming at us faster. The amount of time that it's taking to get from one technology to the next technology has cut in half, and then that has been cut in half. So that if you're slow to be able to learn, unlearn, relearn, you're a dinosaur faster. What does that mean? You go extinct. If you cannot operate in the space in which we're in and where people are today, then you will go obsolete. You will go extinct doing the old things, but it happens at a faster rate. So I want you to pay close attention to this video, get as much as you can, and then you're going to put it in the chat. So remember, watch the video, get the really important parts, and then put it in the chat afterwards. So let's get to the video.
We've all heard that if you could win the morning, you could win the day. One of the ways to doing that is to create regular rituals and routines so you don't have to think about what you need to do. And if you could set up routines and habits, especially early in the day, you could benefit from this science and momentum and create positive momentum as opposed to being reactive, like how a lot of people do. They pick up their phone the first thing and they start reacting and driving distraction and reaction, as opposed to proactively spending time with self-care and self-love and having a vision and a direction for your day. So let's get into it. Now, as I jump into this again, this is my ideal day. So sometimes I can't do all of this, but I could do as many as I can. So the first thing I do when I wake up is I recall my dreams. When you're dreaming is that you're actually processing and integrating and working on solutions, your subconscious mind, to the things that you're focusing on during the daytime, but most people forget their dreams. After that, I get out of bed and I make the bed. Okay, and now this is something that is obvious that most of you do, but if you don't do it, take 2 minutes and make your bed, because that's a success habit, right? If we're talking about positive momentum, the science momentum, getting things done, checking things off, doing it with excellence, then make your bed. It's worth the 1 or 2 minutes, because again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And to have a good check mark on something like making your bed is very powerful, because it teaches you to be able to do something really well in excellence like they do in the military. And the other benefit is when you come back at the end of the day, you come back to success. You come back to your bed already made. After that, what I'll do is I'll go into the kitchen and I'll have a tall glass of water, because we use a lot of water and most of us are very dehydrated at night. I'll take my supplements there. I take my probiotics, which is the big one, because your gut is your second brain. We talk about quick brain, being your brain in your head, but you also have incredible amount of nerve cells in your gut. And so I want to make sure that's being fed and healthy. So I take my probiotics. Then what I do is I do my breathing, right? I'm thinking about the things I'm focusing on here. I'm thinking about excellence. I'm thinking about hydration. I'm thinking about oxygen. Whatever your breathing technique is, I focus on breathing. So whether it's box breathing or alpha breathing, whether it's Wim Hof's method, I do a breathing technique because I want to fully oxygenate my body and my brain, which is obviously part of my body also as well. And maybe we could do another episode dedicated towards that. I do my meditation in the morning and also later in the afternoon or evening, sometimes before I go to bed, but I always do an early morning meditation. I do it for about 20 minutes. Mindfulness is so important. So I want to have a clear mind as I enter the day. And so meditation puts me in that space. 15, 20 minutes. Some of you use Headspace app. Some of you use the Muse device, use some kind of technology. I meditate then. From there, I do 1 or 2 minutes of just movement. And this could be different. It could be calisthenics, it could be burpees, but I just want to get into my body after I meditate. And so I move my body pretty intensely for a couple minutes. And if I'm in a hotel room, maybe I'm just doing jumping jacks, but I'm doing crunches for 2 minutes straight. I'm just waking my body. That is not my exercise for the day. It's just for me to get my heart rate beating and getting some movement in my body. From there, I take a shower, and it's cold shower. And I do believe in cold therapy. It works for me. It helps me to reset my nervous system. Ice baths are very powerful because it helps, like if you hit your knee, you put ice on it to reduce swelling and inflammation. Cold therapy is a very powerful way of resetting your nervous system and reducing inflammation. So I take a cold shower. When I get out, I go through my normal routine, right, of shaving and brush my teeth, all that good stuff. Then I make a tea, and my favorite tea is like a brain tea. You know, it's a combination of gotu kola, ginkgo, lion's mane, some MCT oil, and some other gems. As I go through it, I sip my tea, and that's where I write my journal. And I'm a big believer in journaling. I've been doing it since I've been in college, and I feel like some of the most amazing thinkers of our time and in history, they journal and they keep diaries. I mean, you think about Edison, Einstein, Da Vinci. I mean, their journals are priceless, right? From there, right from journaling, since I'm writing, and I like writing, there's a lot of studies saying that handwriting is better than actually typing. Then, since I'm writing already, I'm going to my to-do list. And we all have most of us have an ongoing to-do list of things that we need to get done. For me, the big thing is I just want to be able to accomplish, as a total win, 3 things for work and 3 things personally. And they don't have to be all epic big things, but I just feel like that if I could get 3 of my work goals done on my to-do list and 3 of my personal things to do, then it's been a great day. And it's kind of like my friend Clay Hebert talks about a champagne moment. It's like your champagne moment when you're looking back at the end of the day saying, yes, today was a great day. Today I crushed it. Today I won. And in addition to my to-do list, I also have a to feel list, because I feel like a lot of our who we are is our states and emotions, and I think I don't want it to be just where I happen to feel a certain way by accident. It's by its design. It's the metaphor I always talk about, the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer reacts to the environment, and I feel like sometimes if I act like a thermometer, I'm just going to react to everything that's going on in my world, and I just might have some good positive states, as opposed to being a thermostat where I set in advance a standard, a goal, for my to feel list, certain feelings I want to feel throughout the day, so I could design it that way. To feel love, to feel curious, to feel bewilderment, right? Connection, gratitude. I also have, besides a to-do list and a to-feel list, I also look at my to-be list. Like, who do I want to be today? And, do I want to be a good partner? Do I want to be a good friend and a good leader, a good teacher, a good coach? I feel into what I want to be that day. Because it's not just about, it's kind of cliche, but there's a truth to it. We're not human doings, right? We're human beings. So who do I want to be today? From there, if I have time, I'll make time for the things that are most important, is I read. I read for about 20, 30 minutes. So after I do my reading, then I go and I make my brain smoothie, brain berries, which are your blueberries and avocado and your leafy vegetables, and water and everything. And when I'm done with that smoothie, I go through my brain training in one of our quick learning online programs at quicklearning.com. We have an online speed reading course, online memory course, thinking course, academic success course. That's where I do my brain training. And I like to do it in the morning because I want to jumpstart my brain, my mind, if you will, and also my body. And that's the goal for me, that focusing in the morning. So after I do certain brain trainings, which are all in our programs, then I really start my day.
And as you guys put in the chat, there it is. So those of you, the reason, what's so funny? I watched that video, and I can tell you 90% of those things I do. There's a variation of what I do or how I do it, but 90% of those things I do. And so it's really important to understand that when it comes to your business, guys, you got to start with a routine in mind. we get so stuck on the business aspect. Remember I said, it was 2 weeks ago, I said, the business is simple. It's up here that's the issue. We get customers and we get business partners, but we do it by asking people. There's so many ways to ask it. We ask, are you open to making extra money? That's basically what we're doing. And that will lead us to, yes, I am. Okay, let's take a look at being a business owner. Or no, I'm not. Well, let's take a look at saving some money. That's all we do. So there should be no issues around the simplicity of that, but the complexity comes in your mind and your routines. And if you have to actively think about everything that you're doing during the day, you're going to be bogged down and you're going to be exhausted. That's why it's so important to create routines that do what? Promote success in your life. So I'm seeing some of the chat. Let me see what you guys are putting in there. All right. So we got making yourself in habits of routine, wake up, get yourself in the mindset of the day. Marie says 3 habits: to do, to feel, to be, are 3 lists. Yes. If you win the morning, you win the day. That's important. Be productive, stay off the phone, make your bed, be successful. Joseph Russo, bro, you got it. See, that's active note-taking. You got the important points. So I just want to give you a round of applause for that. That's what we're talking about here. What's important to do in the day? And so when you're looking at the day and you're looking at your routines and you're figuring out what's important, why do you need to make the bed? Why do you need to take a cold shower? Why do you need to work out? Because these are small victories. So you start out the day with small victories that allow you to have confidence moving throughout the rest of the day. It gives you a different type of swagger when you have victories when you've already started. If you're rolling out of the bed after the third snooze button hit, if you look at the bed and you realize you're late, and so you don't make your bed, now you realize that you didn't do something you were supposed to do. You're rushing through the day. You're trying to catch up. You're behind the 8 ball. It's not working in your favor. So you're always losing from the moment you start the day. So you need to start the day from a different frame of reference. That's why these things are so important. So when it comes to these routines, what I also want to share with you really briefly is a breakdown of what's part-time, what's full-time, what's spare time, and what you should be focusing on your day, and a daily method of operation that I use that every single one of you can start to use if you see it working well for you. So as I bring this up, I want you guys to take a look at how this works. So first thing I want to bring up, we're going to talk about, matter of fact, I'm going to do it like this. We're going to talk about the productivity sheet first, okay? So if you take a look at the productivity sheet, this is what I've been using for longer than some of you have been in ACN. All right, this is not a joke. I've been using this for longer than some of you have been in ACN. I don't even use the document. Don't ask me for the document. Take a screenshot of the document and just get used to writing it out. Whether you write it out digitally, I write too, but I have my iPad and I have my, my 2nd generation pencil. It allows me to take notes that I'm writing. It allows me, so I draw this out on my piece of paper, which is my tablet, and I write out I call it the 3 P's productivity sheet. You have your projects, people, and priorities. If you look at the top, this is project number 1, project number 2, and project number 3. What are your projects? Those are the things that you want to get done in a quarter. All right. So you list the things you want to get done in the quarter. The people are the people that you need to reach out to move it forward, and people you're waiting to hear back from the day before. And then your priorities, like Dr. Quick said in that movie or in that video, the priorities are the 3 major things that you need to get done today, no matter what. Okay. And here's what you want to do. You want to beware of your inbox. It's nothing more than a convenient organizing system of other people's agendas. I'm going to say that again. Be wary of your inbox. It's nothing more than an organized system of other people's agendas. In other words, before you're putting out everyone else's fires, you should be focused on what you need to get accomplished during the day. So many people go to their inbox and say, okay, I'm special. Who needs me? Getting done everything that everyone else needs is a distraction. It's not going to get you focused on what you need to get done. Here's the other thing. When it comes to your priorities, don't multitask. Multitasking is a myth. It doesn't work with the human brain. It doesn't work well. When you attempt to multitask, your IQ drops. It drops by 10 points. It's the same as being high. So you trying to multitask is like you trying to work high. It doesn't work. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to focus on whatever that priority is and get it completed and then move to the next. Focus on that, get it completed, and then move to the next. Because what you're doing is you're creating a workflow. In other words, you're getting in the zone of whatever it is that you're doing. The next thing is you want to do this 45 minutes. So whatever it is, so I focus on my productivity planner, 45 minutes straight, no distractions, with a countdown timer on one of my screens. So it gives me a sense of urgency and it gives me a focus. Your brain can focus for 45 minutes without fatigue, and then you need a 15-minute break. So 45 minutes on, 15 minutes, go outside, walk your dog, do something that has nothing to do with your work. You'll need that to be refreshed to come back to it. If you're doing this full-time, it's 90 minutes a day. If you're doing it part-time, the 45 minutes a day, okay? So if you're doing 90 minutes, that means 45 minutes, 15-minute break, 45 more minutes, you're good. You will get more done with 45 minutes a day focused on priorities than the average person gets done working an 8-hour day at their job. Also, by eliminating distractions, you eliminate getting out of the zone. Every time you get out of workflow, it takes you 10 minutes to get back into workflow. That's why if you're multitasking and being distracted by bells, notifications, people knocking on your door, things like that, you wake up at the end of the week and you realize you were busy, but you didn't get much done. That's why. So you want to create an environment that's conducive to getting stuff done and getting results out of less time. That's why 10 to 12 hours worked for me in my first 6 months. I didn't need to work as many hours as everyone else because most of the hours most people were working weren't effective. They weren't focusing on productivity. They weren't focused on results, and they were distracted and they were multitasking. So my focus for 45 minutes trumped their 8 hours or their 3 hours or their 20 hours a week because I was focusing on what mattered the most without any distractions. All right. I wanted to make sure that's clear. Also, for those of you that don't already know, this is the book that I recommended, The 5 a.m. Club. It's great on Audible. I usually say just read it, but it's in storytelling. So it's a great audio listen. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't already picked it up, go ahead and pick it up so that you can understand some of the tactics and some of the things that we use as successful people and the reason why we get up so early. All right. And then now what I want to do is I want to address the schedule. Okay. Because the schedule is so important. And most people aren't really operating on a part-time or full-time schedule. Most people are operating on a spare time schedule. What's spare time? And some of you aren't even operating on a spare time schedule. This is going to scare most of you. But look, I'm not saying this to beat you up. Don't feel bad. I need to give you the right expectation. So if you're not meeting that expectation, you know what work is necessary to level up to meet what part-time or full-time would be. All right. So here's what spare time is. Spare time is 2 peaks per day, 2 points per day. That's spare time. So if you're not doing 2 points per day, 2 peaks per day, you're not even doing spare time. Notice I didn't even say you're introducing people to the business or presenting or anything like that. You're just a customer gatherer. You're getting 2 peaks per day, 2 points per day. That means that every peak you get, even if you show somebody, they're all saying no to the business, and you're getting at least a few services out of it. So what would 2 points be per day? It'd be like 1 service a day. It'd be like 1 ID seal per day. Does that make sense, guys? Not even a quarterly plan, just 1 regular monthly ID seal. So that's considered spare time. So some of you, I saw your eyes get big because you're like, oh crap, I'm not even doing spare time. What is someone else doing if they're not doing spare time? They're doing it sometimes, which means they're making no money. All right, so you can look at your amount of work to the amount of money you're making. So if you're not making any money, chances are you're probably doing the business sometimes, which is no consistency. Spare time is consistent effort, which means you're making some money. And I just put in the chat what part-time is, okay? Part-time is 3 services or 6 points minimum per week. What does that mean for an IBO on the customer acquisition bonuses? You are making a paycheck every single week based on your customer acquisition. Even if it's just $200 a week, that's what you're making. 3 weeks, you're making $200 a week. Yet the first week you have to put in 5 services or 10 points. After that, you're making $200 a week. Now, what else is part-time? 6 services or 12 points minimum per week from your team. That's from your team. The third, 3 launches per week. The fourth, 3 PBZs per week. And then you're attending all weekly morning Zooms. That is a consistent part-time schedule. What's full-time? Full-time is, check this out, guys. Some of you, if that want to be full-time, if you don't have a job, that doesn't mean you're full-time. That means you just don't have a job. I need you to understand that. Full-time looks like this. So you can take a look. I posted it in the chat. Full-time schedule, 6 services per week. What does that equate to? That's $400 a week. Just from your own efforts in customer acquisition. Because we get customer acquisition bonuses. So 6 services or 12 points per day from your team. 3 is 2 to 4 launches per day. 3 to 5 presentations per day. And you attend all events. That is a full-time person. And I need you to understand that, because now knowing what's expected of you to be part-time money, spare time money, or full-time money, you can align what you want based on the workload. It's just like at a job. Most people that work at hourly wage, they can say, okay, if I work X amount of overtime, I can increase my paycheck by X. That's the same way ACN works. It's not magic. This is not magic. It's not mystical. It's real business. So we got to get out of this magical, mystical mindset of finding a unicorn who joins your team and just blows up. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It does every once in a while, but it's usually not going to happen. But what I gave you is what you can do to get results. So let's talk about what's active versus productive. Active is checking your website, organizing documents, planning training, training IBOs. That's active. We're on a Zoom. Is that productive or active? It's active. That's called sharpening your axe. It's not using the axe. What's productive? Enrolling customers, enrolling IBOs, doing PBZs, doing launches that get results. That is productive. Attending events with your IBOs, meaning you're promoting it to your people, they're on with you. So what is the purpose of a day? The purpose of a day in ACN world, I need you to understand this so that you can think like a leader. Because if you can think like a leader, then you can move like a leader and you can get the same results that a leader gets. Because all success is a combination to the lock. It doesn't matter if a white man has the combination. It doesn't matter if a black man has a combination. It doesn't matter if a woman has a combination, a child has a combination. As long as they know the combination and they use it, the lock has to open every single time, right? So the purpose of a day is to get customers and IBOs. Set up new meetings, get you new customers and new IBOs, period. That is the purpose of an ACN day. So whatever you're doing, if it's not bringing you to that result, then you have to change your habits to create those results. And now you know specifically what type of work that you need to do, and you have a frame of reference. You also have a method of operation with your projects, your people, and your priorities. You understand that you need to set routines and do the biggest, most important things first. You got to start your morning by waking up, immediately jumping out of the bed. That's your first victory. Splash, cold water in the face, cold shower, second, third victory. Making your bed, fourth victory. Getting into the day the way you see fit, fifth victory. So you're already starting the day. By the time you get to working out, by the time you get to doing your daily method of operation, you're already going through 10 victories before noon. So that way, when you walk out in the day, you go to Costco or you go to Trader Joe's or Sprouts in California, wherever you're going, you got a different energy. Mask on, mask off. I move different. I'm felt different. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter if you're online. Guys, I need to tell you this. I got 2 more minutes to talk about something important. I need to address this. Older people, younger people, you need to know something. In San Diego, I'm in San Diego right now. It's different all across the country. People are freaked out in San Diego still. If there's a stigma attached to the situation that we're in. Here's what that means. With my mask on in the Trader Joe line, if I turn around and I try to talk to someone, they're already looking at me like I offended them. Because that's the average person feeling right now. They don't know whether to shake my hand, to give me dap like this, to do dap like this. You guys understand, this is the world that we're living in. But what I can tell you is people are people, and you need to know something. All the people that you want to meet, they don't have a mask on social media. All the people that you want to meet are already there. All you have to do is be yourself and show up. So when I meet people, I don't care. See, a mistake would be thinking that I have to meet people at a certain place. That's a mistake. That's how you become obsolete. That's how you lose numbers. A smart business owner goes where the people are, because the people are your marketplace. If you understand that, then you understand business. Don't discount social media. Don't discount outside. Use both to your benefit. The amount of people that I can connect with on social media allows me to generate a result higher. I used to be like, Sam, I'm gonna tell you right now, straight up, I know every single mall in San Diego. And matter of fact, when the world was open, most of the people in every mall knew me. I could go to each mall. They knew my name. I went to the mall so much that I started to go to the strip malls because I need to give the malls a break. What was the whole purpose of me going to the malls? because that's where people were. Right now, people are there, but they're also online. And if you get that, then you'll be able to embrace technology and you'll be able to move yourself into a space to get to more people faster. See, there are certain platforms where people are already looking for you. You got to get good at whatever platform works for you. But understand that if you're discounting a platform because you're uncomfortable with technology, that will be your demise, because you can't build a new business with old people. And I'm saying that two ways. If our whole business is built with baby boomers, that means our business dies when baby boomers die. I'm being real with you right now, and I hope you wake up, because I need you to hear this. If you're only building a business with baby boomers, then your business is going to die when the baby boomers die. How we relate and connect to the people that are in a different generation will allow us to continue to grow. So if I know that millennials and Generation Z, so Generation Y and Generation Z are all online, but I'm going outside, I'll miss all the young people and I'll never recruit them. I need to have a healthy mixture of both so that I can meet people where they're at. Does that make sense? If I lean too far to one side or the other, I kill my business. I need a healthy mixture of both. It needs to be diverse in order to be healthy. My dog King, he's a mutt. They call that now, what do they call it now? They call it a luxury mix or something like that. He's just a mutt. But because he's a mutt, do you know he has a longer lifespan? Because he's a mutt, he's more diverse. Listen, your business is more diverse, it has a longer lifespan. The young people will teach you what the old people can't. The old people will teach you what the young people can't. The people that are in their 40s are going to teach you a little bit of the mix, and they're going to be able to connect you with the elderly and with the young people. If you can only speak one language, you're obsolete. You have to be able to speak biker to banker. And if you can speak the language of someone's home language, you have their heart. If you can speak the language that they understand, you have their mind. You need to understand both. See, if I'm in the hood, I can speak that language. I'm in the boardroom, I can speak that language. If I speak to Generation Z, they trip out because I know their slang and their terminology. But now I speak to their heart, and they want to run with me because they don't think I'm old in my mind, in my heart. But when I speak to the elderly, I speak to them with respect, and I speak the language they speak. And so they can say, I can work with him because he's a respectful young man. So you got to understand both. Social media is not a platform or technology. Write this down. Social media is a language, and it's a language you need to learn if you want to move your business forward. Fit it in, figure it out so you don't go extinct like the dinosaurs. And then have a healthy combination of both so that you can build a thriving business that when you're older, because you still have younger people, it doesn't go obsolete. So I wanted to hit on that topic. And guys, I hope you got a lot of that. I know it was a lot, but I told you I was going to give you a lot today. So that'll help you, especially if you got to jump on the 4:45 schedule. You already know how this is going to fit in. If you didn't participate, you're already behind the 8 ball. I'm telling you, if you keep up, you don't have to catch up. So wake up at 4:45 tomorrow so that you can keep up and keep creating results leading into June 15th. And with that being said, make sure you're registered for the Game On event that's coming up in June, and get your team registered because we're closing in. We'll be 30 days out from that here in a few days. And we need to start talking about it because that event is going to take us into the next level for 2021. And with that, Mr. Thomas, I will turn the call over to you, sir.